the invisible prison of perpetual hunger. We move through life burdened by invisible weights, the crushing expectation to want more, to be more, to endlessly accumulate. From our first breaths, we're conditioned to view life as a series of trophies to be won. Better jobs, bigger houses, shinier possessions. Yet this hunger, this eternal reaching, leaves us perpetually malnourished souls starving at a banquet of our own making. The cruel paradox of desire reveals itself in each fleeting satisfaction. No sooner do we grasp what we sought than our eyes dart to the next horizon, the next prize, the next elusive fulfillment. This is the hamster wheel of modern existence, where we run with increasing desperation but arrive nowhere, our souls panting for a satisfaction that forever recedes before us. The problem? Desire is a moving target. Once we attain what we thought we wanted, the mind quickly shifts to the next thing. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. The idea that no matter how much we gain, our baseline level of happiness tends to return to equilibrium. The great deception, when more becomes less. But what if we've been deceived? What if true freedom lies not in acquisition but in liberation from wanting itself? Not in the poverty of having nothing, but in the profound richness of needing very little? This is the radical proposition that echoes through the ages, from Buddhist monks to Stoic philosophers to modern psychologists. That happiness flourishes not in the fulfillment of desires but in the careful cultivation of wanting less. When we examine our restless chasing, we uncover an uncomfortable truth. We don't desire objects or achievements themselves, but the feeling we imagine they'll provide. Yet this feeling, this elusive contentment, was never in the things to begin with. It was always available in the present moment, obscured only by our mistaken belief that it lay somewhere else, sometime later, in someone else's approval. From outcome worship to sacred process. The path to breaking this cycle begins with a fundamental reorientation, from worshiping at the altar of outcomes to finding sacredness in process. Consider the artist who loses herself in the flow of creation rather than obsessing over gallery openings. The athlete who finds transcendence in daily training rather than fixating on medals. The writer who cherishes the shaping of each sentence more than the prospect of publication. These are the ones who have discovered life's open secret. Joy resides not in the harvest but in the planting, tending, and growing. When we shift our focus from product to practice, we make a revolutionary discovery. We can be happy before achieving anything, because the act of engaged effort itself becomes the reward. This is why children at play are so utterly absorbed. They haven't yet learned to subordinate present joy to future gains. Reclaiming this wisdom doesn't require abandoning goals, but rather changing our relationship to them. Not as lifeless idols we sacrifice our present to worship, but as compass points that give direction to our daily journey. The liberating discipline of non-attachment. The practice of non-attachment becomes our liberating discipline. This isn't the cold detachment of indifference, but the warm, engaged presence of one who participates fully while holding outcomes lightly. We begin by examining our definitions of success, not the hollow metric society provides, but the living measures of a soul awake. Did I grow today? Did I create something true? Did I leave kindness in my wake? We train ourselves in the art of a more fatty, the love of fate, not as passive resignation but as active collaboration with reality. Each setback becomes soil for growth, each disappointment fertilizer for wisdom. We cultivate gratitude not as occasional exercise but as constant orientation, not just for grand blessings but for the ordinary miracles of breath, sight, and consciousness that we so carelessly take for granted. This gratitude becomes the alchemy that transforms our perception. Where we once saw lack, we now discover abundance. Where we once felt deprivation, we now recognize sufficiency. Before we continue, I'd love to take a moment to sincerely thank you for being part of this journey toward personal beauty and endless growth. Your support, through watching, subscribing, liking, and sharing this video means the world to me. Now let's get back to the video. I have enough. The revolutionary declaration. In our materialistic age, declaring I have enough becomes a revolutionary act. This isn't the enough of complacency, but the enough of profound realization that no external possession or achievement can rival the peace of an unburdened soul. The freedom we sought in objects was inside us all along, obscured only by our frantic searching elsewhere. When we release our death grip on wanting, we discover something miraculous. The world blooms with gifts we were too distracted to notice. The morning light through our window, the laughter of a loved one, the quiet satisfaction of a day's honest work, these become the true currency of a rich life. Stepping off the treadmill, a practical path. The practical path unfolds in daily choices. We create more than we consume, finding that the act of making, whether a meal, a poem, or a repaired cabinet satisfies in ways passive consumption never can. We seek flow states regularly, those timeless moments when self-consciousness dissolves in total engagement. We measure our days not by what we've acquired but by how deeply we've lived them. This is how we step off the treadmill, not by abandoning ambition but by redirecting it toward what actually nourishes the soul. The paradox reveals itself. By wanting less, we gain more presence, more peace, more authentic engagement with this fleeting, precious life. The urgent call, your revolution begins now. The call to action is urgent, for our days race by even as we postpone our happiness to some imagined future. Will you continue chasing shadows, or will you stop, breathe, and discover the abundance already within and around you? The revolution begins in this moment, not in grand gestures but in small, persistent realignments of attention. Each time you choose process over product, presence over projection, gratitude over grasping, you weaken the tyranny of want and strengthen the muscles of contentment. This is how we reclaim our lives, not by accumulating more, but by fully inhabiting what is already here. The choice presents itself anew each morning. Will you measure your worth by what you lack, or discover it in what you already are? The world will never stop whispering more, but you can choose to stop listening. In that silence, you may just discover the peace you've been seeking all along. The journey over the destination. Happiness isn't something you find at the end of a checklist. It's a way of moving through the world, with curiosity, presence, and appreciation for the unfolding journey. When you stop making happiness contingent on getting what you want, you realize it was never about the destination. It was always about how you traveled. So, the next time you feel the pull of desire, ask yourself, can I enjoy this moment without needing more? And in that shift, you might just find the freedom you've been searching for all along.